The IORA Cup Series makes its triumphant return to America's home for racing. 2 consecutive weeks of IORA action will take place at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and tonight it's going to be the oval configuration we see for 100 non-stop laps of intermediate racing. Welcome back to Season 5 of the IORA Cup Series. We're just about halfway through our schedule, and the championship race continuing to heat up, seeing prime title contenders such as River Page so quick at these mile-and-a-half circuits. Maybe some competition tonight from some of our one-and-done drivers, a few rookies making their very first starts of the campaign. Watch out for all the storylines as qualifying has just begun live on FTN. I'll be your host for all of tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Now, with the time that we have here, 20 minutes on our qualifying session, we've just gotten things going, and it looks like right now, one driver on the track, that is River Page. Page, who got it done in Kansas, is going to go down a pit road. Looks like he's going to go for a few quick runs. Not going to be anything serious right now as Alexander Valdez is getting lined up to get onto the track. He's instead going onto the road course here. Practice is over, but qualifying is on. It looks like Carson Freeman is the driver we should be looking at here. Freeman at the top of the board, provisionally speaking, and he finds himself there now with the first time of the day, a 30.659. So Freeman gonna put the first time down, and as such, he's on the provisional pole as he comes down and in this time by Braxton Whitaker is the next man on the way. Single car qualifying for tonight's event, and it will be one driver on the track. 1 lap per driver, so you got to be perfect on this one or else not really going to count for all too much. Now, Whitaker at the line is going to go up to position number none. That's because that was his warm-up lap. Now he's on the way for his real lap here, and on deck is Bryce Collar in the number 98. Bryce gonna get on the move in the Sunny Delight number 98 Ford Mustang, all the while Balder is having trouble on the road course. So a few shenanigans all throughout. Let's look back in front to Whitaker, and you'll see he's making it at turn 4 this time by, and for Braxton Whitaker at the stripe, this will be his time lap. Whitaker up to the top of the board, 67 thousandths back is Freeman now, Whitaker on top. So Whitaker going to make the move up to provisional pole. Bryce Collar now going to be on the way, and it's going to be a rookie in the number 98, making only his second start of the Season 5 campaign we've seen for Bryce, making it through this time with a brand new paint scheme. It's almost collision there with Devins Baker, and Baker on the track with a driver taking a qualifying time. We're not quite sure how it's going to go down because these drivers are only given 1 lap, and yet Baker nearly interfering. At the line, it's going to be Bryce Collar putting it up to the top of the board, and now right behind, there's Devins Baker, and Baker's now going to be on the move for his full warm-up this time by. So a little bit trickier to understand what's going on for the number 14 team on the track at the same time as our new provisional pole sitter. Expect the times to get quicker and quicker as the session goes on. Bryce at the top of the board, tentatively speaking. Then you're going to see Devins Baker making it through at the line again, and Baker's going to be a 31.02, 2/10 faster. He goes up to pole immediately. Nathan Palawada looks to be the driver to look out for. He's going at a speed of 166 miles an hour right now, and he will come across the line for his first lap. Now the number 78 is on the move. Now a Palawada on the way, maybe a chance to break into the 29-second range. Nobody going under the 30-second barrier so far. Fastest time is about 1/10 of a second off of that marker. Nathan Palawada coming through this time by in a super clean Chevy Camaro, and he will come to the stripe to be second in timing. He's going to bump Bryce Collar down. However, it's going to be Palawada moving only into the runner-up spot. And now Xander McKinney going to be on the move, and it looks like on deck is going to be Cash Culp. Colt just started rolling on pit road. Xander McKinney in the number 40 machine, seeing some success so far in the intermediates. And he's looking to keep that going. Very, very quick driver who we're only getting to know for the first season of his IORA career. And I think now in the Lively's custom diecast machine, the number 40 has a good shot to break that barrier. And we'll see whether or not he can. His fastest time in practice was a 30.2. And now to see if he breaks through, it's going to be McKinney up to third. Wasn't able to get much better time. So now it's Cash Cope, the man to focus on. Cope comes by and you can see him go through at the line immediately. Cash Colt now on the way. Cash Cope in the JFR number 1. Gonna have a new paint scheme for tonight's event. We've seen him previously this season, however, brand new look. It's going to be green and black with some metallic flair. And Cope, we're gonna go down to the bottom side as most drivers are here. The groove really not gonna be worn in too much. Nathan Palawana, one of the drivers who was running high, had some success and still is up there in second. Can Cash Cope beat his time? It looks like he can't, just behind Xander McKinney. Up next, Henry Kaloff of the number 63, and Kaloff right now, one of the drivers to look out for a top 5 run. He's raced against many of these drivers in different series. CB Fabricate number 63, working through and down the back straightaway. He's raced against drivers like River Page and James Thurston and Alexander Balderas in SNT competition. Well, tonight, he's not going to be against them on the Saturday campaign. It's with the Thursday crew, and of course, as such, a little bit different, as it was a sunset race we did not see on Saturdays. It was nighttime skies all the way. Kaloff to the top of the board, and he'll take that expertise up to provisional pole. 30.091. Casey Benz is up next. So Casey now going to get through in the number 36, the Lakeland College machine, going to perhaps fight for a top 5 spot in qualifying here. Kaloff with the best time so far. That's going to be a hard time to beat relative to all the other times we've seen here. Only 2 drivers look to be substantially quicker in our practice session, River Page and Joseph Armstrong. So it's going to take a shock from any driver to pass the many. We're getting closer and closer to that 30-second barrier. It's been broken in the practice session, hasn't been so far in qualifying. Vincent Guecci gets on the way. Vinny very, very quick in our final race before the Easter break, and now as we return, maybe an opportunity for some redemption as he hopes to go for win number 1 in his IORA career here at Charlotte. Going down to the inside and taking it all the way down to the paint. He'll get the power down, go right up the track again, and for Vincent Guecci, it's going to be a 30.069. That is the top of the board, and he will make it up to the top by 0.04 of a second. It's going to be Guecci up top now, Brandon Dugan right up next, and the 55 making his way in the Haggard electrical machine. It's Dugan, and now you're getting up to your real front runners. Brandon Dugan with Alexander Balderas on deck and Carlos Truther in the hole. Truther getting moving for the first time in this session. Dugan up to the top of the track again. Going to be a very nice arc out. And a lot of drivers with that natural arc, not doing anything crazy. It's successful for Brandon Dugan, and he will knock Devins Baker off the top 3. Alexander Balderas now on the way. With the 95 machine coming through, he's going to take it up to the middle side of the track as opposed to running way down low through 1 and 2. Balderas going to try to wrap through the corner, a little more power down, get a little momentum off, and now makes it to the 3 and 4 with a different approach. Goes in a little deeper here into 3, gets down to the paint, sticks to it through the middle of the corner, now going to make his way out, and as such, the 95 comes across the line, and he will go 30.034. That is going to be the fastest time. He moves up to provisional pole, and now it's going to be Balderas on top, and Carlos Truther in trouble. And it looks like he passed the start-finish line. That is his session. Jacob Wilkerson now on the way. And Carlos Truther going to have that trouble. That's going to end his qualifying session prematurely. We're going to take a look back right now and figure out what that was. It looks like for Truther, just a little bit of a slide off 4. And that made all the difference as the Quicken Loans, number 39. We're going to go for a quick slide here. And just like that, down to the apron, past the start-finish line. Not much more that could be done. All the while, Jacob Wilkerson now up to his flying lap. Wilkerson going to emulate the way that Alexander Balderas went around the circuit. Instead of going all the way down low, he'll try that middle and go racing down the back. We'll see how deep he sticks it with the paint. Maybe an opportunity to go a bit further than Balderas did here. Wilkerson getting low, staying low for a little bit longer. Now back on the way up, and he will take it nearly up to the wall, about a foot to spare. At the stripe for Wilkerson, that's going to be a move up to the top with the first sub 30-second lap. Wilkerson to the point, and he's got it there, 29.948. So Jacob Wilkerson on top, and Jacques Carter and Aaron Schugel both on the circuit at the same time. The reason being, it's Schugel's lap. Jacques Carter will be next here. So now it is the number 91 who is on the way. Jacob Wilkerson taking it up to the highest spot on the board, of course, getting it up to the provisional pole. And up next now, let's see what Schugel can do. He'll be coming across the stripe this time by, and for Aaron, that is up pretty high. That's going to put him just outside the top three. Looks to be good for fifth, 30.07661 thousandths off of Brandon Dugan. And up next, Daniel Osteller. Jacques Carter got on the track. It looks like he got sat right down. As a result, it looks like it's his first race with this new formula, and as a result, didn't quite know what was going on in qualifying. Demos is the man up next in the number 87 here, and for Osteller, fastest practice time of a 30.017. He'll be going up next, and we'll see whether or not he can break through as well. Wilkerson had a quick time, and now Osteller looking to emulate him at the stripe. Demos goes tied for second, but he won't get that tiebreaker. Balderas holds his own, and Daniel Osteller knocked off the front row as such. River Page is up next. There goes the number 24, and it looks like he's got Jim Thurston also on the track at the same time. Thurston making his way around to the number 96, and Thurston and River Page, one of the rivalries in intermediate racing we've seen as of recent. Page has gotten the better of Thurston time and time again as of late. However, for Thurston, a redemption race here in the America's home for racing, an opportunity to come out on top. But Thurston, I'm going to have to settle for ninth here in qualifying. Not at all what he wanted, and it looks like not a big jump for the 96 team. River Page up to the high side, 7 minutes remaining. He's got himself going now, racing down the back. And we're waiting after him only now on Joe Armstrong, Marcus Vanderlee, Will Shack, and Jacques Carter. It's River, though, who's got it all the way down to the bottom to lift up high, and he's going to make the move down, replicating that line that's given Wilkerson and Balderas so much success. Page, 5 thousandths off the ladder, and he's going to be in fourth. So it looks like Demos going to remain in the second row. Provisionally speaking, Joe Armstrong, who's the fastest in practice, he's up now, and we'll see what this number 22 can do. At the line for Armstrong, final lap in qualifying. Looks like Vanderlee or Will Shack won't get things going, and Jacques Carter joining late. We'll see whether or not they give him an opportunity to qualify. It looks like they will not. Those, of course, being the admin's decision, as Armstrong rushes down the back straightaway. He's going to stay up into the middle of the corner, slowly but surely glide down, doesn't touch the paint, and instead going to put a little bit more of that throttle through the entire corner, and coming across the line, it's a 30.002. Good for second, but for Joe Armstrong, the pole position will be denied. Jacob Wilkerson in the 43 will grab the pole. Wilkerson gets it done. He's going to find himself all the way to the top of the board when it matters most. And this is a track where that strategy all relies heavily on where you start. Qualifying has concluded. Up at the top of the board, it's the number 43, and it's now going to be a line of NASCAR Xfinity Series stock cars filling the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And when it comes to stock car racing, perhaps the most historic of all intermediate circuits, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, in operation ever since 1960, mile-and-a-half circuit, and the first of many of what we call now cookie-cutter tracks. Wasn't quite the case back in the 20th century, before tracks like Texas, Chicagoland, Kansas, Kentucky, so on and so forth. Charlotte was the very first envisioned in part by the mind of Curtis Turner, the namesake driver of this race, and repaved most recently in 2006. This track has aged for about better part of 20 years now. So the surface is coming in nicely. Fantastic racing. No doubt we're going to see it tonight. Only 150 miles to host the NASCAR's longest race in any series. 600 miles, the Coke 600, the World 600, whatever you call it. Charlotte, it's known for attrition and it's known for its intensity. Tonight, Jacob Wilkerson finds himself the quickest in the sprint to the pole position. It's going to be Wilkerson on top with Joseph Armstrong then second. Position number 3 going to be Alexander Balderas and Daniel Mosteller going to be in 4th in your qualifying lineup. Then going to be River Page in 5th and Vincent Guecci in 6th. 7th place going to be Brandon Dugan, and Aaron Schugel is in 8th. 9th spot, Henry Kaloff and Devins Baker rounds out the top 10. 11th going to be Jim Thurston and Nathan Palawada rounds out the top dozen. Of all the drivers in qualifying, only Wilkerson got under the 32nd mark tonight. Xander McKinney going to be in 13th, and Cash Culp is going to be in the 14th spot, with position number 15 being Casey Bentz and Bryce Kohler 16th on the running order. 17th place is Braxton Whitaker, and Carson Freeman is then in 18th. It'll be Carlos Truther then in 19th, and Marcus Vanderlee, who does not look to be with our starting formation, in 20th. And their final 2 drivers go as follows: Will Shack 21st and Jacques Carter in the 969. Outside of row 11, he is 22nd and last in tonight's event. That is your starting grid for the Curtis Turner 150. We're now half a lap away from getting things going and racing for the first time under green at the Charlotte Oval. Jacob Wilkerson on the top of the board. He won last season at Talladega. He's had the pace to do so again, but tonight he faces off against last season's New Hampshire winner and Joe Armstrong in the front row. 2 by 2 as they come through the Geico restart zone. Contact already. We're going to have a caution. Yellow flag is out. Page and company. There's Vincent Guecci, and we've got trouble. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. And a wrecking ball immediately for the field. Caution is out, and we'll see a few meatball flags being waved as well. Caution is out immediately. Let's take a look back and figure out what just happened. And as we take this brief glance back at our first caution of the day, lap 1 cautions have been very common this season, and it looks like once again that phenomena will strike back. Here's a look from up top. And that's not going to show you the entire thing, so we're going to freeze frame it here and give you all the information. Looks like it started in part with Vincent Guecci and River Page. Guecci checks up, then gets into Aaron Schugel. Schugel will bump the number 88 into River Page. Then they go around. That's going to stack them all up from there. Xander McKinney going to be involved on the right side of your screen. Aaron Schugel, Devins Baker, Nathan Palawada, Casey Bentz, Braxton Whitaker, Cash Culp. I think about half the field got involved in that one, and the caution is out already. And we are going to be pacing for the first time tonight. Green flag is going to be a little bit more of a delay start as we will get people in formation, all of the 21 drivers who chose to start, and get things going momentarily. Yellow flag in the air. Joseph Armstrong leading over Jacob Wilkerson on that very short jump. River Page is the only driver down at pit road so far, but he will be accompanied by Carlos Truther. And now pit road busy. First time tonight. Caution is out. A lot of minor damage for drivers, but most are going to stay on the field. And it looks like now everyone's single file. Not much action to speak of in our opening lap. Joseph Armstrong is your leader, and it'll be Jacob Wilkerson then second. And when it comes to movers, we have a few that have been big at this point. I think you got to point your eyes back to this segment of the field. From 9th up to 6th, Henry Kaloff makes his move, and Jim Thurston 11th up to 7th, making up for what was overall not the best of his qualifying performances. Nathan Palawada 12th to 8th despite some minor scuffs. And in addition, Braxton Whitaker 17th to 9th. We'll see whether or not the damage prevails, and we'll have to send him down to pit road. Overall, it's a gain and then some for the 51 team. certainly something to look out for as Braxton Whitaker finds himself in 9th. You look back to River Page, who's on pit road right now from 5th to 11th at the timing and scoring loop. He's down to 21st right now, so he is definitely not having the best of starts, but he'll get going again, get that damage repaired, and return to the field here on the lead lap. Leaders, they're coming by this time through. Armstrong up in front in the number 22, and he is set to lead the field to green for the first time tonight. Yellow flag is out. We will be going green at the end of lap 3. It appears as pit cycle has concluded and the pace car's lights are off. Armstrong going to go down to the inside line, and we will get things going at the end of this lap. A quick caution is going to bring us down to earth. However, we're setting ourselves up for what is next, and we've got still more than 95 laps of racing due to come at you here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next week, we're going to be at the same track, different configuration. It's going to be the Charlotte Roval, so that's going to be an exciting circuit as the caution is slightly extended here. Everyone's going to get themselves bundled up again. Many drivers now understanding the fact that you got to get familiar with Charlotte at least in part. Number 22 of Armstrong finds, of course, himself up in front, and the top 11. Jacques Carter all the way back. 969 has made big gains from 21st up to 11th. Triple digits, and for the first time we're seeing Jacques Carter with this paint scheme as well. New look for this crew as they make it into the single car qualifying era. Carter joining just a little bit late, and that's going to cost them a qualifying run. Our qualifying system, for those who are brand new to the IORA Cup Series, or for those who are veterans, it's a brand new system. It's a reverse practice order. If you're the fastest driver in practice, you go last in qualifying. You have the advantage, of course, comes to seeing every driver ahead of you get their time in. One driver's parked, and that is going to be Bryce Kohler in the number 98, so he's going to get an end-of-line penalty. It looks like he will be sending himself back to the end of the field. One lap down for Kohler, and for Braxton Whitaker, Xander McKinney, and Devins Baker as well. That being said, everyone gets going, double file. Joe Armstrong at the top of the board, and Jacob Wilkerson right there beside him. Bryce Kohler going to try to get himself on the lead lap here as he runs just ahead of the field. There's the 98 on the inside of the track. However, for Kohler, he's going to get the chance to get that lucky dog and wave himself around. Armstrong down low got a nice jump on Jacob Wilkerson in the 50 feet of racing we've seen so far. Now the question is, what can he do with more than 50 laps? Just under double that marker. Matter of fact, we will have about 95 laps exactly remaining when we get back to the green. Armstrong getting the early jump to put himself in position. And of course, for Jacob Wilkerson, I don't think he's going to be quite too happy about that circumstance, not getting a really fair chance to fight back. However, got it from the outside before Joe Armstrong did. Maybe Wilkerson with a chance to strike back this time by as we are set to head green. Schugel with the end of line penalty as well. Armstrong at the top of the board, and this time the number 22 leads us to the green flag. We're back on the way from Charlotte. Armstrong going to be rushing down the back straightaway in the lead. Everyone's single file right now, but you see who's made a gain. Alexander Balderas, the 95, makes it up to second, and Jacob Wilkerson now going to be third. 1, 2, 3, the 43 drops back to the bottom step on the podium. Furthermore, you're going to see Daniel Mosteller and Jim Thurston alongside each other, and now the lappers fighting as Aaron Schugel goes down to pit road and has just exited. There's the 91 back on his way. 8 laps in out of 100. And you can see now Carson Freeman in the mix. Freeman, our youngest driver at 12 years of age, and the driver, of course, youngest of all, still showing that he can keep up with the more experienced in the bunch, running now in that 8th position. Gets a little bit high up into the track, and Carlos Truther now the shot to slice right down low. Truther to the bottom side is going to make his move, and as such, Carson going to wiggle just a bit, and Vincent Guecci in the number 88 machine is going to be now running in 10th. He's going to back off just a bit. Henry Kaloff maybe with a chance to get up there at the same time. We'll see if that 63 can get to work here. However, hasn't really done too much of anything, as he's going to lie back and get things going once more, trying to get that momentum built before making a pass here, which of course you have to do. Alexander Balderas, I'll tell you this much, he's been much more confident a driver ever since his inaugural victory in Fontana, and with every reason to be. Getting that win, he's been waiting years for that one. We've seen him ever since Season 2 of IORA, and he's been a consistent competitor in every series this league has had since that point without a race victory. I'm sure it was hurting him as much as it was hurting everyone else to see. He got it done, and that's a big deal for a driver in terms of their confidence. He knows he can win now. The question is, how many more times will we see him get it done? Wilkerson going to go down to the bottom side. There goes Wilkerson way low. Can't quite get it done there. He's going to have to back off just a bit, and he will slice down to the bottom side to keep himself with the field and jump up just ahead of Demos again. Balderas now going to run in second. He's got Jacob Wilkerson all over him in third. Take a lap on board with the number 95 to see what it's like in the heat of the moment, battling for the lead. And Balderas now going to look up high ever so slightly, trying to get by Joe Armstrong. All the while, it's going to be Wilkerson who's keeping him honest, just in a 1/10 of a second back. The rearview mirror doesn't quite show it from that angle, but right now, the number 43 is hounding Balderas. And every angle that he sees behind him, he will tell the same story. Jacob Wilkerson lies back in third. This is the closest trio in the entire field right now, save for a little bit of trouble. Xander McKinney down to the inside, the number 40. Gonna have to make it into the pit road quickly. We'll see if he can recover after what looks to be a little bit of beating and banging. Henry Kaloff now goes down to the inside on Carson Freeman. Freeman nearly defends him fully, decides to stay up top, and good humor number 7, shades of Justin Allgaier at Darlington of 2021, and he's going to get a little bit of a brush up there with Braxton Whitaker, and see now Whitaker trying to make a move, although he is a lap machine. Your lappers are running at the bottom of the pylon and at the back of the field. There's Devins Baker, who's 19th. Braxton Whitaker is 18th right now, starting to get himself up with the drivers inside the top 15, but really not much he can do right now. 17th is Bryce Kohler, the final driver on the lead lap. The Sunny Delight, number 98, finds himself now running in 17th. However, still room to improve as the night goes on, trying to catch up to Cash Culp. Up ahead, you see now Jacob Wilkerson running all the way down to even the apron. just trying to find some room and hasn't quite got there. And at the same time, Brandon Dugan with Carlos Truther. There might be a little bit more room to race between these two drivers as the 55 Haggard Electrical Machine tries to get back up the Truther, who's been, to this point, now the biggest mover of the day. That's Jim Thurston. That's the number 11 spot he qualified in. He's moved up to 5th and is now trying to gain big on the drivers just ahead. Tonight, Thurston has a leg up on his frequent rival in River Page. And it looks like the 96 maybe a chance to break into victory lane here, as now Demos is hounding the number 95 of Balderas, and Jacob Wilkerson likewise doing the same here to Joe Armstrong. They're getting closer than ever before, and you can see now the back bumper, the number 22, it is full of the STP 43. Armstrong right now going to be working all the way down low into 3 and 4, which seems to be the preferred groove, and he's now finding the right way to hold off Wilkerson, even though it's clear Jacob is just about as quick. That time by was 1/1000th of a second faster than the man in number 22, and those gaps continuing to decrease in margin. Really not much else that number 87 can do. Daniel Mosteller now, as he's going to get involved with this train, and Jim Thurston, he's coming there too. Jim down to the bottom side. It's going to be Balderas right up top. 19 laps in. We'll make it lap 20, and now Thurston's got himself around. Quick move to get up into 4th with Carlos Truther in only his second race, arriving at the same time. Truther now trying to make up what could be his first top 5 start, and Thurston up into 4th, as now the 3-car group at the front of the field getting closer and closer to each other, with Demos being the caboose of which he's getting very close up to Jacob Wilkerson, and we'll see if that can stay consistent or if it's going to be a one and done here with a bit of a burst in momentum. Now Will Shack gets right by Carson Freeman. Shaq from 20th to 12th has contact, and a bit of a stack up there. It's going to be Shaq with the number 7 here of Carson Freeman, not to mention also Vincent Guecci, and they're going to slice and dice again. Despite the contact, Shaq continues defending and hasn't given up any spot, at least so far. So Will Shack here, despite the trouble, is going to remain in the 12th position. Nice job for him so far, but we'll see if that's going to be a temporary point in this race or if he can keep on defending. The number 43 of Wilkerson remains second here, and now not only trying to put the pressure down on Joe Armstrong, you got to wonder what's he going to do about the drivers who are catching up to him. And I don't mean just Daniel Mosteller. You got to also look at drivers like Jim Thurston or even Carlos Truther. But Truther right now really getting bogged down by Balderas, and you see it there. Alexander Balderas going to be able to take that spot, at least for now, right back into his hands. 22 laps in, and it's going to be Balderas by no means making it an easy pass. Truther stays right up top, and he's going to keep himself there in the Quicken Loans 39. It's side-by-side action here in Charlotte. I'll tell you this much, if you're watching live on FTN right now, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. Your support is immensely appreciated, as we have just passed 1,500 subscribers now. Unlimited chat room access is granted to every FTN subscriber. If you have a favorite driver, make sure to shout them out in the chat room. We'll read out every single message and shout you out as well. Great to have the support all throughout the year. And 9:30 Eastern, after this broadcast has concluded, we'll have more racing on this channel. It's the Xfinity cars at Las Vegas. That's the Highline Racing League, and they'll be starting 9:30 Eastern. It's going to be me and Alexander Balderas in the broadcast booth. So if you're liking what you're seeing, you're going to see a whole lot of it tonight on FTN. Now Armstrong and Wilkerson, they are still battling here, and they've seen each other many a time in many, many leagues. Jacob Wilkerson with experience in the FORL Cup Series as well, the champion in Season 3, and one of the most competitive seasons in that league's existence, doing battle with, of course, drivers along the likes of Joe Armstrong, but also James Thurston, River Page, Joey Stone, Max Molina, Andrew Cootie, among others in that platform. And for Wilkerson, he's translated a lot of those skills nicely into the Xfinity package, although I think for the number 43 team, a little less frequent that he gets to go with this particular number 43 stock car. For PBR, he runs in second right now, about a tenth and a half off. And unlike what we've seen in previous intermediates, really no runaway driver in the first 20-odd laps. It's still relatively tight, 0.15 of a second first to second, and it has not become a multi-second gap. It looks like right now, maybe we'll see a little bit of a tighter race as it all goes down. Mosteller, Jim Thurston, third, fourth, with Carlos Truther then in fifth, Balderas sixth, and Armstrong going to come to the line again as your leader. And now we're past the first quarter. 50-50 pit stop strategy is to be expected tonight. We should see drivers going for the one-stop strategy without any other cautions on the day, and that would give us a predictable yet ever exciting ability to understand the strategy before it happens. You just got to wonder who executes right, as Thurston going to wash right up high, and Jim Thurston going to make a quick pass on Demos, only gets slid right back into the mix. The 87 is there, and he will not make it easy. Now Daniel Mosteller going to be running about a tenth of a second behind, and if we ride on board now with Demos, let's see what it takes for him to maybe get that spot right back. And it looks like for now, Demos really no answer. That time by 4/100ths of a second slower than Thurston. However, he was faster than both of your race leaders. So for Wilkerson and Armstrong, I don't think they're sounding any sirens in their heads, but you gotta wonder, what are they gonna do here? Every driver behind them, for better or for worse, is relatively quick, at least the ones they can see. Carlos Truther and Alexander Balderas going at each other, and Balderas is gonna put one hell of a time down, a 32.02. Nobody else in front of him is gonna be within the 32.0 range. He's a tenth quicker, and that's with traffic, so the 95 might be back in the mix. And that would be a 5-car race of real, legitimate contenders for the win if he gets back up there. Of course, making no promises, but that's another driver to keep your eyes on. As now, Wilkerson going to be still 1,500ths back, but Jim Thurston slightly making up time. That time through, though, everyone stagnates again, and we look back to the rest of the field to see a few more battles. Cash Culp down to the inside here on Bryce Kohler, but can't quite make it through. Culp already has quite a bit of damage. It looks like that first caution really shaking up this number 1 team, and he has stayed in a tricky predicament here up to the top of the track, getting a little bit of contact again, and Cash Culp really not having the best of nights so far as he runs in the 16th spot. Looks like he's fading back to Bryce Kohler, and Jacques Carter now from 21st. He's going to be maybe making up one more spot, and that would move him up a total of 9 spots on the day. One of our biggest movers as well, and by no means a basic run, by no means an easy run. Looks like Jacques Carter going to keep on pushing as Alexander Balderas fighting with Carlos Truther again. Now loses that spot with just a few laps ago. He was the class of the field. It looks like won't last long in that position, and Truther gonna play it calm and consistent, getting the position right back. Fast move for Carlos Truther as he goes up to the high side, 33 laps in, out of 100, and Ryan Newman's number 39 coming alive again. A very, very familiar paint scheme. Matter of fact, success with the number 39 in Stewart Haas Racing. Ryan Newman saw it before his move to Richard Childress Racing. A very tumultuous career in regards to acquisitions and transitions until the very end. And while Ryan Newman is still racing, of course, in some capacity anyhow, it's, of course, his 2010s that were very memorable, not only for coming second in the Sprint Cup Series Championship in 2014, but also 2013, getting a win in this number 39, and though we haven't seen the 39 in competition for Stewart Haas in just about a decade, that 9, you might see it on another car tonight, and that would be Bryce Collar's 9. It's slightly different now anyway, but as time has gone on, that's how it's gotten changed. The 9 that's on Chase Briscoe's car of the 98 way back when. Perhaps if you look to future examples, the drivers who stepped in like Riley Herbst, it all came from that 39, and of course, that was after the departure of Kevin Harvick. Now you're going to see Vincent Guecci down and in, and it looks like Casey Bent's going to be there too, so pit road getting busy on a 2-stop strategy, a blatant 2-stop strategy, mind you, and it looks like there's a fuel limit tonight of 80%, so 80% of 50 laps is about 40 laps. Pit window is evidently open, and it's going to be open wide in the coming laps here, as we are now 36 laps in. Carter Casey in the chat room, we thank you for stopping by, and for Carter Casey and the entire SNT crew. They had a great race here at Charlotte, and a driver who's in this race won that event. That was River Page in the number 24, and he got it done over James Thurston. Tonight, Thurston going to find himself up inside the top 3. Page down and in. He'll make a move on Balderas, quickly slides by. He's got himself now up into 6th. Balderas is going to be position number 7. So a nice and easy move there for River Page. He will end up driving through, getting the pass, and as such, he's going to be in 6th. Up in front, Wilkerson is going to be still 16 tenths off of Joe Armstrong, 16 hundredths rather. Your top 5 is within 16 tenths because Carlos Truther has slightly gained as well. And we're talking about drivers making these very minor gains. Now, a tenth of a second is not much in a green flag run. However, a tenth of a second can become a second or two when we get to the very end. And that's when we see pit strategy come into play, and those tenths you gain on the racetrack, those can be full seconds or more, depending on how you approach it for the rest of the race. And Truex Fan 56, we thank you for stopping by, working with the Kaloff crew tonight, and right now, Kaloff is in 9th. Just behind another battle, Brandon Dugan now coming up on Alexander Balderas, and for Balderas, it looks like slowly but surely fading further back. Not going to be able to keep up that pace that he had to start the race here, and I think he's begging for the pit road to get a lot busier here in the coming laps, as Wilkerson, he tried to lunge it deep on Armstrong, just couldn't quite get it there, and you can see he's all the way down onto the paint, and that's about the best run Wilkerson's had all night long. The number 43 is coming through. He decides to stay high. Despite that run, I think he's confident now, more than ever before, that he can make a pass. Side by side, Dugan going to be with Alexander Balderas. They're neck and neck at the stripe. So is Casey Bentz and River Page. And there you go again, Balderas now up top, and I don't think he's going to be able to hang on to that position here, as Wilkerson got a huge run out of the corner, couldn't quite capitalize on going down low, but I think now that's a sign. If he's got anything more in him, we are going to see it in the coming laps, as the number 43 awaits a time to come down to the pit road. Vincent Guecci signaled coming in this time by, so he will be the next man to pit. However, your lead lappers haven't quite signaled anything in regards to pit road, and we're not getting word from those up in front as to when they will make the call in. 41 laps in out of 100, mind you, 80% of 50, that's exactly 40 here. So we have gotten to the point where you gotta wonder, when are we gonna see pit road get busy? One driver makes it in, that is Devins Baker. Baker in after a 36 lap run, so he's gonna come in quickly, and as such, it's going to be Baker up to the point. One driver who might be safe, River Page. He's on a 36 lap stint, and if he goes as long as the drivers ahead of him have, he will have 6 more laps in him. That gets him to about lap number 48. Maybe an opportunity for him to go all the way on one more stop tonight. He made his first, and he made it at the very beginning of the race. However, now, maybe a chance to go from here, get his first pit stop in, and try to go the rest of the way without another. It's a risk. But for the victory, it might be worth taking, as we're now coming to lap number 43, and Wilkerson's 43 once again on the back bumper of Armstrong. Here we go, as we're coming lap and lap closer to our pit cycle. Take a look on board now with Wilkerson, as he's trying to make this move past Joe Armstrong for the lead. Wilkerson side by side, but not enough to clear off the corner. Now Armstrong going to come up top, and they'll be side by side into 3 and 4. Joseph up top, Wilkerson down low, and the 43 will clear Wilkerson to the point. And take a look behind. There is Jim Thurston. It's a 1-2-3 battle, and this time by Wilkerson to the point. Now, of course, we got to get to the most exciting part of the race. Pit strategy down and in. There goes Nathan Palawada. And Wilkerson now with the advantage as he had the pole position so many laps ago. It's Wilkerson ahead, Armstrong second, and Jim Thurston in third. The 1-2-3 group are now going to be a bit more separate as Wilkerson shoots out like a cannon here, and now has a 0.3 of a second lead. Maybe saving a bit more to get to this point because he's now in a firm spot up ahead, and he's now making that distance. Another driver in, that looks to be Bryce Kohler, and Cash Culp just got on the way. So another set, but usually we've seen your lappers come in first. Leading guys, they've still chosen to not go through. Now, one other thing that's going to impact this strategy, we had caution laps. We did not have a fully green flag stint. With that being said, maybe a lap or two going to be added on as a result, so maybe these drivers going to get a chance to stretch out that fuel and set themselves up for now, which the leaders have done so nicely. You got to wonder who's next. Will Shack down and in. The number 31 is the next man through, and Shack decides to come in this time by. Carson Freeman going to stay out, and another group of drivers to look out for here. Truther, Page, and Dugan. 47 laps in out of 100. River goes high. Carlos Truther has it down low. He could choose to come down and in, which he does. Truther looks low, and he makes it down to the pit road without hesitation. No struggle there. And Jim Thurston now going to make it a struggle for Joseph Armstrong, the number 22. Looking down to the bottom side, he gets that nicely defended and squared away. All the while, Thurston now has the bottom. There's a 96 machine taking cover down and under. He gets the spot, and he will quickly make his way up in a second here, but not to be denied is Armstrong with momentum, and he'll prevail right up top. Jacques Carter and Carson Freeman also going to make it through, side by side at the line again. Armstrong now gets the spot right back, and it's a toss and turn, and it looks like this time it turns in the favor of the number 22. Carlos Truther making his way in is now going to be one lap down, and pit road getting busier and busier signals another driver's arise. It's Daniel Mosteller. Take a look at that number 87. Demos is in the mix as well, and now he finds himself in fourth. Maybe a chance to gain one or two spots as he makes it in to the big picture again. There's Thurston staying on the back bumper as River Page is down and in. So is Brandon Dugan. 1, 2, 10. They come in as one, and they're going to be through another group. Once more making a pass. Now James Thurston side by side again with Joe Armstrong, and it's becoming a bit of a cyclic motion, shall we say. Another driver trying to take that spot just before pit road. Daniel Mosteller sensing opportunity, and it looks like it is an opportune time to come down to pit road. Armstrong regains the lead. 1, 3, and 4 come in. Wow. Daniel Mosteller gets lucky there. No contact. Could have been much worse. Joe Armstrong, your new race leader. And how about the number 22 of Armstrong there? 51 laps in, 50 laps to go. We've gotten to the halfway point, and now he's the man we're waiting on. He'll come down and in, looking to stretch it one lap longer. It looks like we are going to see that pit strategy of 50-50 in mind. Armstrong going to go through, and he is in. Now the most important drivers on their way. Wilkerson, Mosteller, and Thurston. And Wilkerson with a nice jump there. Now when we talk about timing, he gains 0.6 of a second off the pit road. That's huge because that becomes several seconds on the way out. He's going to join back up with Palawada and company. You see Nathan coming through there with Carlos Truther. And it looks like Truther gets cut off, while Nathan Palawada now has a chance to provisionally gain the race lead. Going to be a very brief window, but he gets it up in front. And for Palawada, how about the strategy to lead a lap or two? However, now Xander McKinney to his low side, not going to make it any easier. Nathan Palawada, 4/10 from gaining the lead. He might have a chance to keep it, but it's now Wilkerson all over, and Joe Armstrong also right out, and he is going to be charging out the gate. Jacob Wilkerson now going to take that move right down low, an immediate dive to the bottom side, and the McConey setup shop number 43 looks low, takes the spot, and he made the pass. Just like that, Wilkerson back up to the points. 53 laps in out of 100 live on FTN. We'd like to thank our partners at iRacing Motorsport Simulations for making all of this coverage possible each and every night on the channel. For more information, visit iRacing.com for discounts of over 40% or more on memberships that last longer than 3 months. And if you're interested in more sim racing news, check out the official eNASCAR newsletter, courtesy of our friends at eNASCAR and iRacing, for information about the world's leading online sim racing series, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and how you can make your step up to the pros in sim racing. You're watching the Curtis Turner 150 live on FTN, and we will return after the following message from iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Jacob Wilkerson up ahead of Joe Armstrong by 1.5 seconds, and even though we said there was no dominant man before, it looks like Wilkerson coming into his own for what could be his second career IORA Cup Series victory. Now, of course, a ways to go from here. You're watching live on FTN. This is the Curtis Turner 150, our first of 2 consecutive races in Charlotte, because up next, we'll be going to the Charlotte Roval. That's going to be next Thursday, mind you. We're not really taking a break from this track in the slightest. So for a lot of these drivers, you gotta get used to the portions of the track we will be seeing next week as well. The front straightaway gonna look much different. We'll have the chicane, of course, installed, and where you take the turn here, turn 1, you dive deeply into the infield back on pit road to make your way into the Roval. And the backstretch, it's pretty similar. There's the chicane, of course, which changes things up. However, largely going to be the same. And then you get back going with full power through 3 and 4 onto your way to the front stretch once again. That's a bit of a preview. Not necessarily visually, but you'll see the drivers will be on very familiar pavement next week as we return to Charlotte again. Different conditions, likely going to be a daytime event. However, Charlotte Motor Speedway, the host for the next week as well. So keep that in mind. If you're liking what you're seeing, you'll see it, but in a different flavor. As River Page goes down to the inside, and Page looks low on Thurston, gets the spot. Jim Thurston now going to bounce back into 5th, and Daniel Mosteller looking 3rd right now on Joseph Armstrong. Armstrong going to find himself in 2nd now, 2 seconds behind, and he's going to be right there making the pass on Casey Bentz. Bentz, the lapper, is 17th, and now see Jacques Carter and Henry Kaloff side by side. Carter down to the low side, you can see him there, and he makes the move quickly. Nice pass there for the 969, that is good for 10th, and Henry Kaloff drops back into 11th. Carlos Truther now going to be in a little bit of trouble with Vincent Guecci not in the mix. It's Bryce Collar and Braxton Whitaker. One lapper on the high side, not getting involved. However, 98 of Collar is definitely defending hard. This is for the final spot on the lead lap. And Collar is going to have to give way. Carlos Truther makes it right back. Truther on the move, and he's got himself back in the swing of things. Nice pass there for Carlos. Up in front, Page with Daniel Mosteller, and it looks like Joe Armstrong going to give way and find himself up into the second spot. Nice move there for Daniel Mosteller. He's got the pass and gets away from what is a hornet's nest here. Armstrong now trying to get away from River Page. Not going to be easy. Xander McKinney going to retire the first of the day. Everyone else who started this race, 20 of which they're going to get on the move and still stay, even if they're one lap down. About now, 15 drivers on the lead lap, and going to be a total of 15 within arm's reach, so to speak, if we get a caution. However, there's only now a total of 5 drivers within 3 seconds of your leader. Nathan Palawada is 6th. He's 6 seconds behind. Take a look on board now at James Thurston, as he's the last man who's truly close to our leading driver. And we'll see how it is for the driver of the 96 for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport. Now, Jim Thurston, evidently, he is clutching and coasting here. We're going to stay on board for the next 2 turns, and you'll hear it a little bit more, rushing down the back straightaway, and currently finding himself in 5th, setting up for a little more fuel saving tonight because, as we mentioned, that first stint was slightly inflated because of the cautions. So these drivers maybe not really anticipating to go for another full 50, but now they're in the situation where they almost have to. It's the pressure of making it to the end on your strategy cycle, and I think every driver now looking forward to what it's going to take. It's going to be a challenge, but we did the first 50 plus for some drivers. Now we got to see who can make it the rest of the way. 65 laps in out of 100 total. Brandon Dugan now slightly catching up to Alexander Balderas. And Balderas right now finds himself in 7th from 3rd on the grid. Of all the drivers inside of your top 5, they are 1st, 4th, 2nd, 5th, and 11th in qualifying. Balderas, the only odd man out from that original top 5, who's had a little more of a struggle to stay up there with speed. You can see right now for Balderas, he's going to be running down to the inside, getting on the paint, but for now, if he wants to make up spots, clutching and coasting, not an option. If he wants to make it all the way, making up spots, not really an option as well. So in a bit of a predicament where nothing really is going to work out besides defending on Brandon Dugan. Whatever level of energy or excitement or aggression you get there from Brandon Dugan as to how he wants to pass you, you can reciprocate it, but you really can't do all too much else if you want to set yourself up for the rest of the way. If you're Balderas anyway. There's a lot of drivers in different positions as Devins Baker comes down to pit road. That might be an unscheduled stop, and that might be the end of his night. For Balderas, he's a quarter of a second back now on Nathan Palawada, and even though maybe he's not charging as hard as we expected, he has made up a 10th on Palawada, and he's put Dugan a 10th in the dust. Now Balderas looking to the bottom side, and he's got a pass potentially made here. Nathan Palawada up top, but no match now for the 95 as he's got the optimal groove to make another pass quickly through. Nice move there for the 95. Good pass, fast pass, clean pass. And that's going to be now into 6th. Jim Thurston is still going to be firmly inside the top 5, though. There is no doubt about that. He's going to be up ahead of Balderas by now 5 full seconds. It looks like Devins Baker is going to be on pit road for continued service, and Casey Bent stopping by as well. Maybe both of them will keep on going here, but 19th and 20th respectively with little opportunity. We'll see whether or not they consider it worth it. Hopefully they stay on the track here because you never know what's going to happen, especially now that we're getting deeper into this race. One race this looks a lot like Atlanta, where Chase Schaefer got the victory. He was dominant, mind you. However, we had that late race shuffle, the green-white checkered, which changed everything for just about the rest of the field. And you gotta wonder, what's the mindset right now for the drivers that are staying alive here and holding on? Now Jacques Carter up the top side, and Carter has had quite the race for himself. 9th place he is in right now from 21st, and he only got one caution in this entire event. That was in the first lap of the race. So in all honesty, Carter's done it all practically natural. And that's something you can't say about many drivers. It's the ability to keep on moving, despite what was a very, very huge setback. Perhaps the biggest of any driver's race, up to 9th, given the fact he started dead last. River Page is down and in. We are seeing a second wave of pit stops here. It looks like everyone on the field less and less confident about making it all the way, and that 80% fuel limit, it's a difference. And those 4 laps we had under caution, everyone was setting themselves up thinking they had a chance to go all the way. No longer does that look to be possible, and you can see it's another wave down and in. It's going to be huge through with River Page in, Vincent Guecci as well, and that's why Thurston was clutching and coasting so aggressively. Wilkerson, maybe a different story. We're going to ride on board with him through 3 and 4. You got to wonder, what's the number 43 thinking now? He is your leader, but an opportunity now prevailing for other drivers. We'll see how it is for Wilkerson. Jacob Wilkerson finding himself now in the lead. He's clutching and coasting through 1 and 2. We didn't hear it through 3 and 4. Maybe a chance for him to stay out here. Jacob Wilkerson and James Thurston alike were clutching and coasting, but Thurston looked to be a little bit more meticulous when it came to the matter. A stellar Joe Armstrong and Jim Thurston, also question marks here. 73 laps in, more and more coming through. River Page looks to be slowing down again. Oh, he's destroyed. Page's night. It looks like it's over. Caution is out. River Page blows his motor. And just like that, River Page gonna find himself in big trouble here. You're seeing he's running with Brandon Dugan, and it looks like he's gonna end up destroyed. Taking a look into 1 and 2, and River Page, the driver of Focus, caution is out for the first time tonight. 74 laps in, and he gets loose and shoots it right up the track. Yellow flag is out. We'll take a look on board for that one. Page was alone, had no sign of anything going down, just went down to pit road as a matter of fact, and he ends up spinning here. So let's get one additional angle on the matter and figure out a little bit more from inside of the cockpit. And Page just definitely drove into that apron and shot back up. Page's night is done, by the way. He just disconnected from session, so he's no longer in the event, and it looks like now the rest of the field is going to get back organized again. It won't be a matter of whether or not we make it to the checkered flag now. It's going to be a sprint. We're going to have just about 22 laps to go when we return green, so keep your eyes peeled for what is next as Wilkerson and company drive through. So now with Jacob Wilkerson making it in, dropping down low, you gotta wonder now, is anyone gonna try to go for perhaps a quick move on pit road to get a spot or two? Is it time to maybe make those risky decisions and see if they pay off? We haven't seen anything under yellow to this point besides our first caution, but now just about everyone is in, and you gotta wonder who's got what it takes here. It looks like for Jacob Wilkerson, he will beat out Joe Armstrong, Mosteller 3rd, Thurston 4th, Dugan 5th, and Nathan Palawada 6th off of the line. Now it looks like Alexander Balderas might be in a very good spot. He's only been on his line for 5 laps. His line, of course, of stints. He just got on a pit road, got going again, and he got the miracle pit stop. He's up to 3rd as it stands, and maybe an opportunity now to hold off for the rest of the race. However, we'll see if that's the case. He does have a little bit of warmth in the rubber. Perhaps that's going to be to his advantage, perhaps to his disadvantage with all the things that we've seen so far. To this point, though, for Alexander Valdez, he finds himself up in front, and if Cash Culp and Bryce Kohler go through, it will be the 95 to lead the way when we get back to the green. And now you see there, Valdez is going to opt to go down low, so he will not stay out in front. Jacob Wilkerson, he's going to regain the lead this time by. And now, as the iRacing official pace card comes through, 2 laps to green. That is the signal. We will return at lap number 28. With Wilkerson up ahead, pit road going to have its second wave in, back half of the field this time by. Balderas, he's going to be potentially the first out. It looks like he does get the jump quickly and easily, and then going to be after Bryce Kohler on the way through, Aaron Schugel, Carson Freeman, Braxton Whitaker, and Cash Culp, all the while Casey Bent and Vincent Guecci making it around 77 laps in out of 100. Jacob Wilkerson finds himself up in front and now puts himself there again. Your pole sitter, and Everson's getting that lead back from Joe Armstrong. He has looked unstoppable. They've been pretty even in terms of laps led. However, Wilkerson with an opportunity to knock that number out of the park when we go green once more. We'll see whether or not he has what it takes to stay up in front here. It's a level playing field again, and for Joe Armstrong, when he was on that level playing field previously, right there with Wilkerson. For a good while there, he was a little bit quicker, keeping Wilkerson at bay, and it took a lot for Jacob Wilkerson to make that pass, get around, and of course, take the race lead once more. We're coming out at lap number 78 out of 100. We go green. It'll be only lap number 79, and that means 20 plus laps. That's what's left on the table as Wilkerson's going to go down and in. And the yellow flag still flying with one more lap to green. Next time by, with 22 laps to go, we're going to crank it up courtesy of our camera partners at TrackCams22.com, providing high-quality sim racing performance products for, of course, the camera market. Now, it's not just hardware we see here in FTN that we discuss. The cameras are a performance product in themselves. For the highest quality iRacing broadcasters, they tend to choose TrackCams22 for multiple reasons. Over 100 car and track combinations in terms of cameras, multiple subscription packs for road, oval, dirt, and so much more. Many options on the table, and tonight, Jacob Wilkerson going to be seeing his use for onboard cameras, stock cars, rally cars, Formula cars, Indy cars, and so much more. It's an opportunity to join the best of the best in elite iRacing production. Check out the best broadcast cameras on the market at TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams. We'd love to have you join the fun, and their wonderful onboard cameras will be shown alongside all the racing in the coming Crank It Up. Let's get things going. This time by, the iRacing official pace car going to be out in front, but only for a little while here as we come back to the start-finish line. Wilkerson gonna bring us to the point side by side with Joe Armstrong. Let's crank it up with 22 laps to go, courtesy of our friends at Track Cams for Gourmets. 85 laps in, new competitor in the number 87, Daniel Mosteller, the best he's looked. He looked low for the lead, couldn't quite get there, and now he's in the mix. Take a look at that number 87 of Mosteller, looking for win number 2 on his campaign, and getting the checkered flag at Phoenix came as a surprise for many, but tonight, he's been in the top 5 in pace all throughout. Started in 4th, has maintained himself inside of the podium while he's not yet led that first lap. I think there's an opportunity to get it here in the most important laps of the night. 86 laps in now, and you have to wonder what's it going to take here for other drivers like Thurston, Carlos Truther. Truther inside the wall. Thurston going to stay right down low, giving him space. So no contact, no issue there between drivers. One caution on the day to this point, and everyone driving tight. You see there, Jacques Carter going to be with Bryce Kohler and Casey Bentz, not to mention Vincent Guecci. They come off the line 3 wide, and that's a very close call, but everyone keeps it straight. How about that? The number 88 right there getting up to the high side, and he'll keep it together. Armstrong with Jacob Wilkerson staying 1-1, and now it's going to be down to the inside line. Joe Armstrong blocking Carlos Truther, and for Truther, the rookie in what is only his 2nd race, maybe an opportunity to get inside the podium. Take a look on board now with Truther as he runs right behind the 22, hoping to get right beside him. Now for Truth, they're going to get shot back. There goes Jim Thurston up in a 4th, and the shuffle for the bottom spot on the podium is ongoing. All the while, Mosteller and Jacob Wilkerson, they're still going to be the top 2, tentatively speaking, and Wilkerson, 89 laps in, has himself up in front with a dozen now to do it. For Jacob Wilkerson, looking to lock himself into the playoff system this year, it is back to no longer being a full season championship win, and you're effectively in. For Wilkerson, he's run well this season, well enough to perhaps birth himself in with a checkered flag. You can see Carlos Truther now going to be with Brandon Dugan. Dugan running nicely there in the 6th spot. He's going to be down and in at number 55. Truther and Thurston going to be now more separate as Thurston's going to get off the wall and nearly make contact with it and Joe Armstrong respectively. It's a good buffer there for Armstrong, and exactly what he needs here is he would love to see everyone get right off his tail. And just like that, Armstrong in 3rd, and a little bit more breathing room for the time being. There's James Thurston now going to find himself further off, and so is Carlos Truther. So first pack is still going to be close. However, second pack still appears to be closer. Casey Bentz going to go up top, trying to find his way around Bryce Kohler here, and Bryce in the 13th spot can't quite make it through that time around on anyone, Braxton Whitaker included, and for Whitaker, 17th up to 12th, a day of gaining as slowly but surely he's made his moves, and now finds himself inside of the top 15, maybe a chance to chase down Alexander Balderas here, but not if Bryce Kohler gets to him first. Right now, for the number 51 of Braxton Whitaker, of course, trying to stay here for a lead lap finish is the most important thing to kick things off. However, now maybe a chance to perhaps gain a little bit more. Coming through this time by, he finds himself just behind Balderas and slowly but surely creeping in. Aaron Schugel now going to be up top on Will Shack. Shack is going to be on the bottom side defending low, and now Schugel going to have to look for some other ways around. He'll go up high, try to make something happen. 9 laps to go, making it 8 laps remaining. There's Wilkerson, and he will lead the way, even still, finding himself up in front with 8 to go. There's Daniel Mosteller, Joseph Armstrong, and Jim Thurston, and it's a combo to remember here in the final laps of this event. All the best of the best have slowly but surely rose up to the top of the board, and now it looks like even Brandon Dugan getting a piece of it as he finds himself in the top 5, maybe a chance to go for a podium here. He's got the pace and might have a chance to get around 1 or 2 drivers if a mistake were to be made, but so far, one driver going to make a mistake in Carson Freeman. He stays straight, but he's definitely off the pace now and is going to be 18th, and he is far away from your leaders. Luckily, keeps it all together, but for Carson Freeman, bad news behind as you see Brandon Dugan is hounding the number 96, and it's remained that way lap after lap for about 15 now. "95 laps in for Jacob Wilkerson. It's another milestone as the race leader. He finds himself here with a quarter of a second to spare. That might change. There goes Joseph Armstrong down to the bottom side. The breathing room is slowly but surely disappearing for your leader. But for Armstrong, it's in reverse. He was in jeopardy of going outside the podium. Now a chance to take away second. It's all in reverse now for the number 22, and in the best of ways, he's looking down at the bottom side to make a pass. There goes the 87 up high, stays in the mix, just can't get it there, and he's going to have to end up topside and alone with now James Thurston coming through. There goes Thurston down to the back bumper of Armstrong. Maybe a chance to let Newsom go under. Chooses not to, and get to think better of it instead. Now Wilkerson is 4/10. Maybe an opportunity to break away. Better now than later, and better now than never. He's got it up ahead, but now Armstrong does as well. Armstrong looked to be quicker than that number 43 previously, but now with pressure and 4 laps remaining, he'll have to turn on to another level if he wants a chance to make that pass. Thurston, contact, he will back off, and now Daniel Mosteller in the number 87 looking there as well. Down to the bottom side, he's going to run a little bit lower than Thurston, and now there's Joseph Armstrong with his own line at the same time. A little bit more room, a little bit less time. 3 laps to go. Now it's going to be Will Shack and Henry Kaloff battling each other. Kaloff is right under Will Shack as we speak and hasn't been able to find a way around. He stays right behind, bumper to bumper here. And Kaloff stayed that way for about a half lap here, but coming off of the back straightaway, it looks like he'll have a little bit more separation to set himself up. One more time. Kaloff remains in the back as Wilkerson gets up to the front stretch. 3 miles remaining now. Wilkerson leads us back to the strike. It's popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go. Wilkerson now going to find himself up in front by nearly a half second. For the number 43, he got to the pole tonight, getting into the top spot with the only lap under the 29-second barrier in the entire qualifying session. For Joe Armstrong, he got the lead back early, but for Wilkerson, it was the long game that he had to play, ironically enough, after being the fastest man in 1 lap qualifying. Got the lead back in the tail end of our green flag pit stop cycle, took the lead, and since then, he has been the dominant man. Now it's going to be Joseph Armstrong wiggling down to the bottom side to defend upon James Thurston, but for Jacob Wilkerson, nobody can stop the number 43 tonight, and it's going to be racing royalty in paint scheme form, returning to victory lane in America's home for racing. Jacob Wilkerson will win from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wilkerson gets it done. The checkered flag is his. And now this race is over. Wilkerson on top, and he's going to come down to the front stretch to burn down the house. The 43 gets it done, and he pulls through by a half a second. Armstrong gets second, and it's Jim Thurston third, 71 thousandths of a second behind. Jacob Wilkerson going to burn down the house here in Charlotte. You can see he's got, of course, the exhaust flaring right out the side. He's got the smoke show on, and he's tearing apart that front stretch here. Celebration of his first win this season, and what a win it was. Dominance tonight as it all was said and done. And for the 43, it looks like he has just about parked it tonight. Checkered flag is out. Wilkerson is your race winner. Take a look at the results here to figure out what's going on from top to bottom. Jacob Wilkerson wins from Joe Armstrong in second and Jim Thurston then in third. It's going to be Daniel Osteller fourth, Brandon Dugan fifth, and Carlos Truther in sixth, with Nathan Palawada then seventh and eighth. Aaron Schugel. Ninth is going to be Will Shack, and Henry Kaloff will round out the top 10 with the 11th spot then and there going to Alexander Balderas. 12th is Bryce Kohler, then Braxton Whitaker in 13th with Vincent Guecci. 14th, Casey Bench. 15th, Jacques Carter in 16th, and Cash Cope in the 17th spot. It's going to be Carson Freeman then and there. In the 18th position, River Page 19th, and Devins Baker rounding out the top 20 with Xander McKinney and Marcus Vanderlei, 21st and 22nd. Just like that, the checkered flag falls on a fantastic day of racing, and Jacob Wilkerson comes home with the victory. Tonight, pole position, getting the lead back with strategy, and coming around to get the checkered flag. Wilkerson, you get it done, and you lead the most laps on the day as well. What a win it was. Your first of the season. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good right now. I did not expect to get the pole for this race and lead the most laps. Like Joe, Demos, and Thurston, they were the three guys to beat. Like they were both, all three of them were really fast. Yeah, if it wasn't for that one yellow with like the final yellow, like it was gonna be a fuel saving battle. Like we were like 2 laps short on fuel, I think, and we were all saving fuel trying to make it to the end, and that caution kind of saved me because we were all like I was giving up a lot of time saving fuel, and yeah, we came in, got 4 tires, and I never looked back the rest of the way.
Getting everything going, that caution, it changed the first run entirely. That's something we mentioned, how close everyone was on fuel to try to go 50 laps and set themselves up for the entire race. We saw one caution after the first lap, but that came much later. For you, getting the lead back just before we went to pit road, that was the big difference. How was it like fighting with Joe Armstrong?
He was a tough competitor to beat. Like, I feel like if I would have given up the lead on the final restart, he would have been smooth sailing along gone, I believe. The first green flag run, he led most of the time, and then I think I may have saved my stuff better than his, and that's how I basically got the lead and just never looked back.
Saving your tire proved to be oh so important, but at the end of the race, it was a short sprint. A little bit different from what you prepared, but still very quick on the short run. So how was it like building that time and eventually having a gap at the end?
Yeah, the whole short 30-lap run, I think. I was just mainly just keeping... I didn't want to get too far up front because obviously I'm trying to save my stuff, and I just wanted to keep pace with the guys behind. I did not want to like pull away like a whole second and burn my stuff up and then let them catch me. So yeah.
Getting it done nicely for a victory here in Charlotte. We're going back to Charlotte next week. It's the Roval though, so you get your oval win out the way, your first of the season here. The Roval is always so much different from this track. It's hardly the same thing, but same location. So you think you'll be back here once again, chasing the checkered?
I unfortunately won't be back to race the Roval next week because I rode a pro. But whatever track is after Roval, I might race that. So yeah.
And of course, hopefully we see you back again after we head returning again to Charlotte and getting this first victory of the campaign. A great step forward. 55 laps led and the checkered flag, Jacob Wilkerson. If there's anyone else you'd like to shout out, make sure to let us know.
Shout out to everybody watching. I want to thank Tadra for giving me the opportunity to race for PBR. Thank you to my partners at McConey and Burton Rubber Racing Warehouse, and you for broadcasting, and shout out to Joe, Thurston, Demos. We were all 4 of us racing hard. Yeah.
Jacob Wilkerson collecting the checkered flag here in the Curtis Turner 150. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jacob Wilkerson on the move. Unfortunately, Joe Armstrong does not appear to be available for comment, so we'll move on down to our third place finisher tonight, Jim Thurston. Oh, so close to making it around and getting the checkered flag. Matter of fact, he was close to leading a lap. It's a surprise he didn't tonight. Thurston, third on the day here and gaining 8 spots from an 11th place start. Overall, you made your gains and came through with another top 3. How you feeling?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's once again good to be upset about third, right? But that one should have been at least a top 2. I think me and Armstrong had it there. We were gonna race it out if that caution didn't happen, but it did, and it screwed both of us over. And then we tried saving a little bit for the end of the race after the caution, and that also screwed us over because we got held up trying to get to Wilkerson. But yeah, third is good. I don't think I lit a lap, but yeah, we'll take it.
Third on the day here, we saw how close you were to making that move on Joe Armstrong at the very end. And tonight, one where you had to come from the middle of the field on up. Something we didn't really expect with some qualifying troubles overall relative to everyone else here, but still making passes and getting that caution. How big was it to have that opportunity to reorganize and maybe take a few more positions as you did?
I don't really know what happened in qualifying. It was just a bad lap. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad though. I don't know if like the track state like changed in that moment or what, but it was just a really bad lap, and it ended up not being that much of a factor, especially when we gained like 5 spots off the start when they wrecked, because that helped us a lot. But yeah, I'm just annoyed because I could have gone up there and led a lot of laps, but instead I tried to do the smart thing and try to win the race off strategy, and it just comes back to bite. So it just shows, no matter what you do, it may or may not be the right thing to do. You just gotta see what happens in the end.
There's a second chance at Charlotte coming up next week in the form of the Roval. We've seen you quick at the road courses before, so a chance to come back here and maybe go for 2 spots higher. You think you got it in you?
Yep, I think we do here at Powers Match Infinity Speed Motorsports. I think that we got a good road course car ready for next week, and we're excited for it.
Just like that, James Thurston preparing for next week's competition, coming through third tonight. If you have any final thoughts, make sure to let us know.
No, that's about it. Thanks for the broadcast, and hopefully we'll keep finishing in the podium positions, but just a couple spots higher.
James Thurston, podium once again, as you mentioned, here in Charlotte. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
With Thurston on the move, the number 96 is the final driver of top 3 we'll speak to. Unfortunately, Armstrong not appearing to be available for comment tonight. With that being said, a checkered flag falls on the day of racing here in Charlotte. Wilkerson collecting the checkered flag. It's Joe Armstrong second, and then James Thurston to round out your top 3. Just like that, Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're going to take a temporary break from this circuit and return again next week. However, it's going to be the Roval, so a different style of racing, road course action with these stock cars. Keep your eyes peeled for what's next here live on FTN, as we'll be back at 9:30 Eastern with the Highline Racing League, as they will go competing at Las Vegas for 120 laps. You've been watching the IORA Cup Series live on FTN. This is an exclusive presentation of the Curtis Turner 150 at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've been David Kreutz, your host for tonight's broadcast, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed tonight's presentation, make sure to leave a like on stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. We thank you all for watching live on FTN and hope you stayed tuned for our next broadcast at 9:30 Eastern. Stick around on this live stream link and you'll be automatically redirected to our next broadcast momentarily. Thank you all for watching the IORA Cup Series, and we hope you have a fantastic night.